I'm Rae.
And I'm Derek.
We're married.
And we love movies.
So we decided to take on an iconic genre
that we aren't experts in. Slashers!
Join us every other week
as we dive into horror.
This is Lovin' Slashers. Hello everyone, welcome back to Lovin' Slashers. I'm Rae, and as you have heard in the past 3 very long episodes, we have my husband Derek joining us.
Hello.
Hello, dear. Hello.
Hello.
How are you this evening?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm excited to talk about this one.
Me too. There's a lot of fun stuff around this. It's a fun thing to be the third big franchise. Kind of learn and be different.
They were different, so we should probably tell people what we're talking about.
Yeah, so we're covering the 1984 Nightmare on Elm Street.
A Nightmare on Elm Street
by Wes Craven. Clearly a huge horror icon.
Yeah, he directed it, he wrote it, so very involved.
So many little touches were biographical.
A lot of it is biographical, that's for sure. I did want to throw out there my first Fright Fact of the evening.
Oh, you're going.
I'm going.
No witty banter. Let's do this.
Because this ties into Wes Craven in particular. You're talking about like a horror icon.
This podcast.
Yeah, raw dogging Wes Craven.
That's the name of this episode.
So Sean S. Cunningham, who directed the first Friday the 13th and produced many of the others, was like really close friends with Wes Craven.
Oh, wonderful.
And actually helped shoot some of the scenes for this movie, and Wes Craven helped shoot some of the stuff for Friday the 13th, it turns out.
That's fun.
I didn't know that when we talked about Friday the 13th in episode 2, but there you go. And just to kind of finish off the bit about Sean S. Cunningham here, so the reason I found out about this is this movie was kind of difficult to get financed, and Craven was trying really hard to get like a studio on board before New Line Cinema agreed, and his buddy Sean, who was a producer, was like, no man, I don't think this movie's gonna work. so there you go.
I kind of had a little anecdote. I found out about it that the first studio who was interested was Disney.
Really?
Yeah. They said that everything had to be toned down for a PG-13 and that they were going to run it through their Touchstone, and they were really excited about it. And Craven was like, no, I'm not going to make it PG-13.
Yeah, I mean, he already had to tone it down more than he wanted to get the R rating.
And it's crazy that Cunningham also had to do the same thing for Friday the 13th.
Yeah. I mean, you give it to some of these horror people and they just want to push it as far as they can go.
Yeah, and 30, 40 years later, we're still pushing it to see how far we can go with horror.
Yeah, but nowadays you get the convenience of as soon as the movie's released on digital and DVD and everything, it has an unrated cut immediately released. You didn't get to do that back in the 80s.
If it doesn't do well, it's just gone forever.
Or it's gone forever.
It's a tax write-off. Damn shame.
Tax write-down. Just for any of our tax experts out there, it's a tax write-down.
Yeah.
It's different.
I'm really glad you corrected that, because I know our major demographic of listeners are tax experts.
Look, I don't need our first complaining comment to be that we said the wrong tax phrase, okay? If we're going to be wrong, let's be wrong about the topic on hand.
I actually hope that just like Screen Heroes was, it'll be that I am way too bitchy of a feminist.
Yeah. This is a great topic for it.
I know, right? So once again, we have a movie where teenagers are punished for sex.
I don't know about once again, because Friday the 13th, we talked about this. It was not about that, right? And most of the kids who are killed weren't doing any of those things. Okay? Right? And remember, John Carpenter's point wasn't that either for Halloween. It's just what people have taken away from the genre now after years and years and movie after movie. So
I agree. But
this one also isn't about that.
There is a subconscious theme between these that, for the third time, the very first kill happens. If you can hear the whining, that is our very attention-seeking husky. She is wonderful and needs to be a part of this podcast. Anyway, our very first kill of the film that we see on screen happens after some kind of fooling around.
I think that's just because it's convenient, right? People are distracted, so it's an easy thing to explain away.
As Zombieland pointed out, so is going poop.
Yeah, but they weren't really showing that in movies unless it was something that was like a raunchy com, Like, I think this was their way to get a little bit of the TNA in the horror movie, which this one didn't really do as much as the first two did. But
no, the body count on this movie and the boob count are very low.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. But I still think the point of these three was not to punish teenagers for having sex. I don't think that was the point.
Believe that any of the three directors were like, yeah, let's just do that, nail that on the head. But I think it came out like three giant iconic horror films, all open kill off characters in the exact same way. Like that is something lying underneath, and like you can't really deny that it may not be overt, it may not be what they intended, but our first three movies had the same first three kills.
But the motivations are completely different in all three cases. Well, so I think that if you put these three in a vacuum and forget their sequels for a minute, I think it's a coincidence at this point. I think later we're going to see that it definitely becomes part of the narrative. But I think at this point, we're kind of looking back on it with 2020 vision, and, and I think we're just reading into it now.
Fair enough. But, that's kind of what movie discussions are.
No,
reading into things.
But no. I mean, we're reading into it, though, with the knowledge of what's to come versus when they were made. I think these three didn't have that. I think their sequels make us feel like they did.
Well, I think that is a definite point for our listeners to side with us.
Maybe we should track it. Should this be one of the things that we track? How many people who have had sex or are having sex get killed off?
I will absolutely do that.
Okay.
If it's going to be the Lonely Island rules, if you've had sex in the last 30 minutes and you die, it's part of the counter. If it's like the next day, that's...
Well, what about Rod?
Yeah.
Does he count then? Because it's
well, two.
It's several days later.
Yeah, two of the men here, get away in the first scene. It's only Mrs. Voorhees that kills off both. Mm-hmm. So in this case, Rod gets it a few days later.
Well, Mike kills the one couple.
Kills Bob,
yeah.
But he doesn't kill his sister's boyfriend.
No, well, he left. Yeah,
sister.
That's because he left the house.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway,
90 seconds.
It was like 87 seconds or something.
Worst implied sex ever. And she is just looking like she was fine with it.
Yeah, maybe she was happy with that. That was all she needed. But we are here to talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street. All right.
Okay, so let's talk first about our slasher.
Well, we skipped a spot. What? I dove in too fast. It was my fault.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
It's my fault. We didn't talk about our history with this movie.
Okay.
Had you seen this movie before?
Yes. Out of all the movies on our list, until we get to the Scream franchise, this is probably the one I've seen the most.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I've seen this one at least 3 or 4 times, all spread out quite a bit. It was never on repeat, so I got to see it at different ages, different parts of my life, and it had various effects on me.
Have you seen any of the others?
Yes.
In this franchise? Okay.
I have. I've actually seen more Nightmare on Elm Street and more Scream than anything else that we're going to talk about.
Okay. Very interesting. So I've seen this one.
Yeah.
I saw it once, though. Years and years ago. I don't remember when. It was not the same night that I saw Halloween and Friday the 13th, but I was around that age, though. It was shortly after that. What
was this age again?
I was like, I want to say I was 11, maybe 12. 12 at the latest. Well, I mean, I had already seen, like, I was watching Terminator 2 and Aliens and stuff like that as like a 5-year-old.
What year or what birthday or whatever did your parents take you to see Starship Troopers?
Whatever year it was that came out, I don't remember what year that was. 97. So I was 10, I think.
The story is so great. So his parents took like a bunch of preteen kids to go see this movie, thinking that it was just going to be a sci-fi film, and then there's just boobs galore.
So many boobs. 97. Yeah, it was my 10th birthday. That explains why there were so many kids. It was my 10th birthday.
And your mom was just like super embarrassed during.
Not really. My parents were more worried about what my friends' parents were gonna think. My parents were pretty chill. Like, my dad was a sex ed teacher. Right. Like,
well, they weren't worried about like you having questions. It was just like, oh my god. Like,
yeah, it was more of like, we're gonna hear about this
field trip signature before this.
No. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, so my viewing rules were quite lax.
Yeah.
I like to tell people that the one rule in our house was that I could not watch Cat Dog if my mom was in the house.
See, I think we have to like keep a tracker of how many times you mention this, because
have I already done this?
I'm pretty sure you talked about this on Halloween.
My bad.
Go ahead.
No, it's fine for our new listeners. Yeah, so basically it creeped my mom out. Just the concept of the cat dog creeped her out. So it wasn't that I wasn't allowed to watch it. I just couldn't watch it if she might walk in and see it or hear it. So if she was out of the house, it was fine, right? So I had no real rules about what to watch. So I didn't really watch these just because like they were rarely on TV back then, right? And they were obviously very edited when they were on TV. And so I saw them, just kind of with friends when we would rent stuff later when,
like, we were kids in the 90s, we were adolescents and teenagers in the 2000s. Like, we were still around for the Blockbuster era, and that's how we got movies like this.
Yeah.
That's usually how we saw them. It's like even the premium movie channels, like the old HBO or Cinemax or something, didn't play these very often.
No, we didn't have those anyway. We had basic cable.
Yeah, I mean, we did too at times. There were some years that my parents sprung for cable, and I was always pretty happy with that because I was, the Nickelodeon times, the good times for me. But yeah, the premium movie channels like rarely played horror.
Yeah. But anyway, that's the only Freddy movie I've seen, with the exception of Freddy vs. Jason. I have seen Freddy vs. Jason. That's a really fun movie that I like quite a bit, and we'll get there in a little while.
Which one do you think is better from a camp situation, Freddy vs. Jason or Alien vs. Predator?
Oh, Freddy vs. Jason. Because Freddy vs. Jason knows what it is. Mm-hmm. It's having a good time knowing what it is. Alien vs. Predator was meant to be a serious movie in that universe.
Why would they call it that? Anything versus...
Because of the video games.
It's so stupid. I understand
that's
that.
why.
I would just change it.
That's the reason.
The title's got to be better.
Yeah. But to that point, kind of to that end, just like Alien and Predator, Freddy and Jason exist in the same universe, with the exception of 2 Freddy films. And I suppose... New
Nightmare?
So, New Nightmare and the reboot, Nightmare on Elm Street. And I assume the reboot of Friday the 13th exists in a separate universe.
Sure.
I guess I should have confirmed that. But yeah, otherwise, the original Freddy and original Jason do exist in the same universe together. Hence the Freddy vs. Jason film that gets set up later. We'll get into all that when we get there.
Okay.
So, Fred Krueger.
Fred Krueger. This dude is 100% different from our other two slashers we've talked about, Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. At this case, just Pamela Voorhees. We haven't actually seen Jason as a killer yet.
That's Mrs. Voorhees to you.
Pammy and I go way back.
About to 1980.
Yeah, about that. So, aside from the fact that, they're all killing teenagers, Robert Englund crushed it.
Yeah.
Behind the mask of Michael and Jason have been multiple actors to step in. There was even multiple Michaels on the same movie in Halloween, but Robert Englund played this character so many times. He did it in cameos and other things.
It's true.
In the late 80s, 88, I believe, there was a TV series where he hosted kind of like an Elvira or Tales of the Crypt where, he would appear in some of the stories, but for the majority of them, he was just the host.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, he's fantastic. He came back for Freddy versus Jason, and he would have come back for the reboot if they had asked him to. Like, he loves this character, and he's perfect. I mean, he, for me, is my favorite of the slasher people.
There is a weird connection that you can make with them once they talk.
Oh, well, yeah. That's the big difference, right? Is, he's not the silent killer. He is, right. And as the series goes on, you'll see him grow into a much bigger personality. He's very kind of satirical and punny and, just really, just great. He's so great. And Robert is the key to that. I mean, he really is. He actually said that his main inspiration, though, for Freddy was from Werner Herzog's Nosferatu the Vampire.
That's amazing.
Which came out a few years before this, which is really cool. And he showed up to his audition. He had put black makeup under his eyes. He had slicked back his hair with like oil and grease and stuff like that, and just kind of sunk into this role, and obviously, with great outcome. But funny enough, Kane Hodder, who was Jason, auditioned for Freddy.
Yeah.
He didn't get it, obviously. Though he does get to play Freddy's arm one time in a different movie, not in this movie, but down the road in Jason Goes to Hell. I'm drawing a blank. I should have written that part down. But he plays Freddy's arm in one movie. So.
Well, I'm glad he got to live out his dream. It just would have been a really cool connection had that worked out. But Robert Englund crushed it, and I can't imagine what the landscape of horror cinema would look like without Robert Englund.
Well, yeah, I mean, this movie is very important. It was actually, where's the year here? I have this written down. No, sorry. In 2021, the movie was selected for the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress. So this is one of the preserved films.
It's so crazy to me that when these things come out, critics pan them, say all kinds of horrible things about them. But in the end, it's because of all the effects they have on our pop culture that didn't matter. Doesn't matter who won Best Picture that year. It doesn't matter what Siskel and Ebert said on their TV show, because TV shows used to be podcasts.
Well, look,
the other way around.
This was successful. It made $25.7 million on a $1.8 million budget. Mm-hmm. This was a successful movie. Now, for those who've been following along, that is more than triple the budget of Halloween and Friday the 13th. Just for perspective.
Wes Craven was also a more established director at this point. So he's given more years. He worked on, the previous film we discussed. He worked on quite a few other projects, made a name for himself to a certain degree. People in the movie world knew him. And he was able to see things through.
Yeah. And look, this was an important film. Basically, if this film had flopped, New Line Cinema was done. This saved that production studio from bankruptcy.
And if you guys don't remember, New Line did Lord of the Rings.
and Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Which is what I think of first when I see that.
They also exist in the same universe, too. It's Freddy, Ninja Turtles, and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
It's just different parts of the same timeline, you know?
Sure, totally. I'd like to see Freddy versus Turtles. I'd watch that.
Oh, hell yeah, I'd watch that.
I would definitely watch that.
The Turtles have teamed up with quite a few people. Batman, Scooby-Doo, Power Rangers. Why not Freddy? Why not? Let's do this.
So speaking of casting.
Yeah, let's talk about the cast here.
There were so many names considered for these roles that are today just like household names.
It's crazy that Annette Benson, who was the casting director on this film, like she said she saw so many people for this film that she cannot recall who she didn't or did see, but she does know that a decent amount went on to make names for themselves in other projects.
Well, they saw over 200 actors just for the role of Nancy.
Yeah.
Which, that went to Heather Langenkamp, and she's great in it, and she comes back in some of the other movies.
Yeah, she's in 2 more of the movies.
But not number 2.
No.
Which is interesting.
And she's done 2 documentaries on Nightmare.
But other big names that were considered for her role, Demi Moore, Jennifer Grey, and Courtney Cox. Which, Courtney, of course, ends up in Scream, but,
Which is great.
Yeah. We've got Glenn. So Glenn, of course, that's Johnny Depp's character. This is his big breakout role.
I was going to say, he's the breakout star of this. We've had Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Bacon, and now Johnny Depp. Clearly the biggest name to come out of this whole movie. Yeah,
no, there's no doubt about that. But other names...
I know, they got your boy on there.
Nicolas Cage.
I just learned that Nicolas Cage is indirectly responsible for getting Johnny Depp into acting.
How so?
Okay, so
I don't know this story.
He was a model, and fun fact about this, Johnny Depp was good friends with Jackie Earle Haley. And went to this audition with him. But neither one of them knew about it until Cage told his talent agency to tell Jackie about it.
Gotcha. Interesting.
So,
That's
Jackie
interesting.
Goes to the audition for one of the teams, either Rod or Glenn. Johnny Depp goes. He wasn't planning on auditioning. He does anyway. He gets selected because Craven's Girls has a crush on him based on the headshot. And honest to God, I can see why. Early, young Johnny Depp, 21 Jump Street. Boy is so dreamy. And this was before he was like major douchebag.
Well, right, yeah. But even though now he still looks good, like he's still an attractive guy, But yeah, so Craven's daughter was like a big influence in this movie. She is part of why Johnny Depp got cast, but she's also part of why Nancy's written the way she is.
Oh yeah.
So she didn't really like the idea of kind of the damsel who's always like tripping and falling down as she's running away from the bad guy and stuff like that.
Which we saw with Laurie Strode and Alice in Halloween and Friday the 13th.
But Nancy is kind of the difference that I like. The way I kind of think of it is it's the difference between Ripley and Alien and Ripley and Aliens, right? Nancy is Aliens. She is turned around and she's got the mech suit and she's going to punch Freddy in the face, right? That's who Nancy is. And that's really fun. And that's really thanks to Craven's daughter.
I mean, that's a fair point. I'm happy for that. Nancy is a fun character because she kind of goes a little loopy, and she talks about how she hasn't had sleep in 7 days.
Which is a long time.
You actually have insomnia.
I do, and my dad did, and over summers, My dad was unemployed quite a bit toward the end of his life, and we sometimes would see how long we could stay awake. And we did get several days in. We didn't get 7, but we would 3-4 days. Yeah, no problem.
But you guys would not take
caffeine
pills.
No, we wouldn't. We watched a lot of Star Trek, played a lot of chess. But yeah, that's the only real knock I have on this whole movie is the caffeine pill thing. Cause her parents just her mom has those lying around.
Okay. So I have thoughts.
Okay. All right.
One of these, themes from the movie, the overall theme that Robert Englund pretty much wanted to stick with is that the parents are just absent. They're checked out, Tina's mom goes away with her boyfriend. She doesn't really care about Tina, the opening of the movie.
And they're supposed to be, by the way, 15, 16.
Right.
Is the age of these characters.
Clearly not. All the actors are much older, and they are engaged in much older activity.
They're all in their 20s.
Yeah. It's very Saved by the Bell.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But not just that. Nancy's dad is not in the picture. Nancy's mom is an alcoholic. We see Glenn's parents, check in on him maybe once.
I might take a little issue with Nancy's dad being absent. Because, he's the cop.
Right? He is.
Well, I think an argument could be made that her parents have recently gone through a divorce and her mom got custody and she's not happy about that because she always refers to her dad as daddy and her mom as mother. And I picked up on that because those are very I always was just dad and mom, which I guess is maybe in the middle. I don't know, but she was so different between the two. And her attitude to each of them was so different. I just and the way the parents talk to each other, I think they had just recently gone through a divorce.
That's totally fair. That's a lot of, viewer interpretation, which I absolutely love. This is just like a quote from what Robert Englund was saying.
Oh, okay, fair enough. He would know better.
That's how he interpreted his characters. That there's a reason why these kids are easy pickings for him, and it's because all the parents are so wrapped up in what's going on for them, none of them are really listening. Even if her dad is a lucid dad who supports her, he's still not listening to what she is saying. That, this is such a weird concept. I'm not sure if I would necessarily believe my daughter right away if she was saying that, but I would recognize that she had legit terror, that she was keeping herself awake just because her dream scared her that much. That's something that you got to pay attention to, and he blows it off.
Well, this is a trope in television and film, in general, where the adults just don't listen to the kids.
Right.
And for some reason, it didn't bother me in this movie, but it usually does. It usually drives me nuts.
That whole thing, so many movies could be solved just by parents, tuning in a little bit.
Just a little bit.
And I think that's going to change. We'll see that kind of be wiped out in future films, because the idea of your kids having no agency around you because you don't consider them real people yet has kind of faded away,
Well, yeah, I think in this case it's more of just to your point, this is something that doesn't sound real. Right? Whereas, at least with Mike Myers and in Friday the 13th, this is just a person killing people.
Yeah.
Right? So that might be hard to believe, but it does happen.
The supernatural aspect to them becomes more and more apparent in the sequels, as opposed to Freddy,
right.
who's just right there.
Yeah, he's immediately supernatural from the get-go, which I think is what draws me into the movie. Like, I really love this movie. I enjoyed the other two, but I love this one.
This one is really good, and it's just really fun, and you know, kind of a tangent to what Robert Englund said he had interpreted from the script is Craven's whole point of sins of the parents, like generational trauma, and you know, the next generation paying for what the previous one did, which we see in so many aspects of real life, you know, politics, social economics, like the generations as we go on, we pay for the mistakes previous ones have made. But this is specific, like these parents targeted this man after he was acquitted over some bureaucratic nonsense and took the law into their own hands. And 20 people in a city that like kind of lynched a guy. So,
at least one of which is a cop, which I think is interesting because that's kind of glossed over in the movie. And I think that's very interesting.
It is.
Because I doubt he was the only one.
No.
You know?
No.
So.
He's like high up there in rank. He's not running the whole show, but he's pretty high up there. So I think that's a sticking point we need to think about. Like,
yeah, I mean,
anyway, go ahead.
Freddy's motivation is very different than Mike Myers and Mrs. Voorhees, right? Mrs. Voorhees is, you know, avenging her son's death. Mike Myers, his motivations are unclear, right? The dude might have a few screws loose type of situation. Freddy is pissed at the people that killed him, right? Now, he was doing horrific things. We don't know why he was doing those things, but we know why he's in this movie, right? Yeah. Which is interesting. One bit we didn't get to talk about is the nursery rhyme, though, that goes with this character.
That. It is so crazy to me how, like, the number 20 keeps popping up. The mom said that Freddy killed roughly 20 kids. That 20 some odd years ago, all of these parents, about 20 of us did this, and now. 20 years later, there is a nursery rhyme about this local children, like child murderer. That's not usually how they form. Like in the case of Ring Around the Rosie, that was formed like during the Black Plague.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It didn't pop up later. It stuck with everybody later. But legends and stories and stuff like that tend to take a lot longer than 20 years. So, do you have more stuff about it?
Just a couple of small things. Just on a personal level, I find it really interesting because Halloween and Friday the 13th have very iconic themes, right? And they're kind of a big deal. They've permeated through pop culture, whereas Freddy doesn't focus on a theme. It focuses on this nursery rhyme, which is arguably way creepier.
Oh, yeah.
And just for those who are interested, it was written by, the guy's name is Alan Pasqua, and he was Heather Langenkamp's boyfriend at the time. He wrote it. Yeah. So this wasn't Wes Craven. He didn't pull a John Carpenter or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it easily could not have been there, and this movie could have had a generic horror score to it, right? And that was it. But instead, you get this unique aspect that you can now bring through the entire franchise that stands separate to the points we were saying earlier, how this franchise is very different from the other two. This is another example of that. Mm-hmm.
And there is such a wonderful horror trope of children being creepy. When they do stuff in unison, they say the same lines, you know. Village of the Damned has all the little blonde kids that
Children of the Corn
mob together. Children of the Corn did the same thing. You know, they killed off all the adults, and The Omen is very much Damien never blinking, constantly looking into your soul. And so just these neighbor kids doing double dutch to this rhyme about a serial killer where also the victims are kids. Like,
yeah, it's dark.
It's a little off-putting, it's very... It's the good kind of horror contradictory where you're like, oh, we got to protect those kids, but maybe not those singing that right now. Let's kind of just push them away because that's creepy.
Yeah. Well, there's some scenes that got cut from this for various reasons.
Right. There was a lot on the cutting room floor. And unfortunately, it was a lot of backstory, too.
That's the thing. So there's some lines in the scene where Nancy goes down into the cellar with her mom, and her mom shows her the glove and kind of gives us the big twist, right?
Yeah.
There was some extra exposition there that would allude to or imply that these kids that we're talking about now, the Nancy and Glenn and them, might be younger siblings of children who Fred killed.
And that's why all the parents were involved, know? And that could also be why they're all just mentally checked out. They lost kids, and they were part of a murder, both like...
It explains why Nancy's parents might get a divorce, right? It explains why her mom is... at least appearing to be an alcoholic. I guess we only have like a week's worth of data to go off of, right? But she's drinking pretty heavily throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Right? And her dad is sunk into his work, right? That kind of thing.
Glenn's parents are super protective over, once Nancy shows signs of going off the deep end, both of them are like...
The dad does. The mom, not so much. I don't think she would have cared if the dad didn't care.
I don't know. She seemed very considerate over her son's well-being. So it's very possible that if Nancy had continued...
Maybe.
...down that path of going a little crazy and nobody believing her.
Yeah. No, that's fair. One thing that's kind of interesting, for at least for me, is this is the only time that Robert Englund is credited as Fred Krueger.
Right.
He's Freddy Krueger from the second movie forward, which is interesting. I'm not really sure why they did that, but there's a lot of things though that make this movie stand separate from the other two that we've watched so far beyond what we've talked about, and I think it comes down to production value. Both of the other two movies were shot, like I said, on much smaller budgets. Halloween was the lowest budget by far. Jason, was even still less than a third of this, and those were shot with like handheld cameras, kind of almost guerrilla style cinematography, right? There were not a lot of big stunt scenes. Special effects were kept to a minimum, right? Everything was really kind of, shoestring budget. This movie, not so much. They did some really big stuff in here. Stuff that we like applaud other movies for doing, but kind of forget that this movie did first. And the big one I want to talk about is the scene where Tina gets killed.
Right.
Where she's up on the ceiling and the side of the wall and stuff like that. They built a room that rotated like in Inception, like the hallway scene in Inception that everybody thinks is like incredible. This was shot that way, except that the budget was still tight enough where they had to manually spin the room by hand.
Yeah.
There was no machine here. And it looks perfect.
Yeah.
Even today.
And the same mechanism was used later on for Glenn's death as well.
Well, it's the same room. Right. They just redressed it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that was incredible, right? We're comparing this to a movie like Inception, which had Christopher Nolan behind it and, $100 million and, 30 years of advanced technology.
Which is even cooler because he had way more tech
to
throw at it. They could have done that rotating room fight scene all with CGI.
Well, I'm glad they didn't.
And they didn't, and it looks amazing. Mm-hmm. So, but they took something like this. A similar technique was also used for Singing in the Rain. Or no, Dancing on the Ceiling. Yes, that one.
Okay.
Dancing on the Ceiling with Fred Astaire. But this is just used to a different extent, and it was incredible.
Yeah. No, it's great. Like, there's that scene really early on where you see Freddy with the really long arms, and that was used with, they had puppeteers who were off the sides of the road who were controlling those. And
I gotta say that in the whole movie, there was only a few times where Freddy wasn't, horrific to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of them. The long arms, like you just said, puppety, it very much reminded me of the crazy Kermit arms when Grover's arms extend so much. So I was like, oh honey, that's not scary.
Well, so I wasn't sure if he was going for scary or just trying to for lack of a better word, fuck with them.
That's true.
Right? Because he's a very he's really trying to mess with his victims, where Myers and Mrs. Voorhees, and of course later Jason himself, they don't. They want to just straight up kill these people.
Yeah.
Right? Freddy wants to have some fun first.
Because he can afford to.
Yes.
He's already dead.
Well, so's Jason, but...
But the others, they've got shit to do. They're on a time schedule.
That's true. No, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. There's a couple fun little Easter eggs in here for people. So sure. Nancy is when she's in her room watching a movie, when Glenn comes in through the window, is the first Evil Dead. That is in here because in the first Evil Dead, they have a poster up of Wes Craven's film,
The Hills Have Eyes.
The Hills Have Eyes. And so it was a little dig at Craven, so Craven brought it back. Well, then this continued on for years. In Evil Dead 2, Freddy's glove, the actual production glove.
The hero one or the stunt one?
No, the real one. The hero glove is in Evil Dead 2. Sadly, the glove, quote, went missing, got lost during filming of Dream Warriors, the third movie, which is, convenient. It lasted through 2 Freddy movies and an Evil Dead, and it just disappears. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if maybe Robert's got that on a shelf somewhere at his home. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. I would.
Maybe Patricia Arquette did it. She was... she is most known for Dream Warriors and not anything else.
That's fair.
If you haven't watched it, Patricia Arquette is very unsettling in Severance, by the way.
She's fantastic. Yes.
I mean that in the best way possible.
Severance is arguably the best TV show I've ever watched in my life. So.
Oh my God. Well, we
can't do that now. We can't. Yeah, we can't do that now.
Yeah. So that brings me to a new segment I'm going to do. Very tangential.
Oh, okay.
I love this. It's a little trivia question. I'm going to ask it in this episode. I'll reveal the answer at the beginning of next week's episode.
Oh, well, not next week. We don't release weekly. We're every other week.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, we're bi-weekly.
We're bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What is the most watched, quote unquote, horror film in other movies?
Oh, that's a fun one.
Thank you.
That's a really fun. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just, this made me think of it, and so I looked up at how many movies where people are watching horror movies.
That's great. I got to think about that.
Yeah.
I'll try and guess before you reveal it in the next episode. That's good.
Okay.
That's really fun.
Thank you. We were talking about special effects.
Yes. Yeah. So, there's a lot of special effects in this movie. This movie really focuses on, you've got the phone scene where Freddy's mouth and tongue are coming out of the bottom of the phone.
Oh my God, that is so off-putting. Just
Allegedly, Heather Langenkamp requested that prop.
Did she get it?
I don't know if she got it. She requested it, and allegedly the props people thought that was weird.
I wonder why.
But yeah, look, they used 500 gallons of fake blood
throughout the whole thing,
throughout the movie. Most of which, of course, was in Johnny Depp's death scene. Which there's other versions of this death scene. The original version of this death scene did have his body come back up out of the bed at the end of it.
Right.
Apparently, that really creeped people out, and they ended up cutting it.
We're just supposed to assume that he gets sucked down, basically pulled into a hellish dreamscape dimension and then spewed back up. And we see like a little bit of viscera, but it's mostly just blood.
It does create a small continuity error, though.
Yeah.
Well, when the ambulance leaves the house, it leaves with its lights and siren on. And that would imply that there's a body in the vehicle. So I think, that this was all filmed, and I think they didn't know yet that they were going to remove that scene, is my take.
Well, maybe they just wanted to get the F out. They were like, nope, gonna turn on the lights.
I mean, maybe. I think it's a continuity error, but, it's no big deal.
We have fun trying to explain away continuity errors.
They got another call to another emergency, so
another child.
That might still have a body, so they figured they'd go check that out.
You never know.
There is, though, if you want to see extra scenes, arguably the best way to do that, if you can find it, is the 1996 Anchor Bay Special Edition.
Okay.
And what this is it's an extended work print cut that has a ton of extra scenes in it. But these scenes were cut so early in production, they didn't have scores composed. So they have placeholder music, which I think would be really fun to find and watch if we can get our hands on it.
Yeah, we should absolutely look into it.
So there you go.
So Tina is killed off first, but her dead body in the body bag keeps haunting Nancy. Mm-hmm. And so Amanda, I don't know if it's Weiss, but however you say her last name. So she got to stay on the set. Well, in one of the nightmares that Nancy has, she has a giant centipede crawl out of her mouth.
So gross.
They filmed it 2 ways. First of all, they had a fake one coming out of Amanda's mouth.
Good. That's good.
And then they had a real one come out of a bust of her head.
Really? Interesting.
Here's the creepiest part. Apparently, this real ginormous centipede went missing for a few days on set.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Nobody shared like how it was found, if this was done before or after the scene, but this creepy crawly little guy just pieced out for a couple of days and had a vacation.
I can't believe they found it.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the surprising part, right? Is that somehow they found the thing.
Well, it is a very large bug. Like the one that they used is larger than like some snakes. So.
Yeah, but you got to imagine it's pretty good at hiding too.
Yeah.
So I'm just surprised that they found it. That's pretty wild. Mm-hmm. Lovely.
I knew you would hate that.
So on set though, Robert sometimes, so the makeup that they ended up finalized with was nowhere near as grotesque as they had originally planned, but they decided that what they had planned was not going to work for a human face, and they didn't think they could pull it off with like a puppet in a believable way.
Well, Wes originally was looking to cast somebody that had real burns on their face already. Yeah,
he was looking at like elderly people who already have kind of like a lot of wrinkles and things like that. Yeah, and so obviously they went with Robert. And so it took 3 hours to apply his makeup. Mm-hmm. Which, remember, is just his face and neck. It's not like a whole body thing.
No, that's an intense makeup process for just your face.
And sometimes just to mess with people, he would just pull it off his face when they were done filming. Which, I'm glad he didn't hurt himself. You could really hurt yourself with that, but...
Well, if you guys don't know out there in podcast land, special effects makeup, it takes a long time. And if you have to come up with specific prosthetics for somebody's face, the last thing you want is for that actor to just tear it off and really mess with it. But in this case, there's so many holes that they couldn't have permanent ones.
Right.
Maybe a piece would last like a day or two, but they had to keep remaking their prosthetics, which David S. Miller, who was the special effects makeup guy on set, just he loved and hated his job because
he had to do it a lot. Yeah. Well, that's fair. I'm just glad Robert didn't take any skin with it when he was pulling it off, because those adhesives, especially back in the 80s, were no joke. That was not spirit gum.
No,
so
it's probably not.
No. I have a couple other Fright Facts left.
Please.
So a few more here. So we talked a bit about how, like, it took like 5 people to be Michael Myers in Halloween. Well, there were 2 people to be Freddy. No. The special effects, one of the special effects guys, Charles Bellardinelli, I want to get this right, I apologize. Bellardinelli, Charles Bellardinelli. He portrayed Freddy at the beginning of the movie, creating the glove.
Interesting. I like that.
Because of all the tools that were being used, and they actually built it like on camera, and he was, the expert in doing such things as a prop guy. And so technically he was the first person to play Freddy.
Very, very interesting.
So there you go there. This movie originally had 4 separate endings, all of which supposedly were filmed. So Wes Craven and Robert Shea, who's the producer on the film, they kind of disagreed about how the movie should end. Wes wanted the happy ending. Legit. He wanted, Nancy makes Freddy lose his power and she defeats him and wins the day, and everything's back to normal, and basically everything she experienced was the dream. So nobody was dead, nobody was hurt, everything was fine. But Robert wanted to leave the door open for sequels. Even back in 1984, companies were concerned about longevity. And so, they eventually compromised on the ending that we get, which is very ambiguous about what is really happening. Now, the original ending was going to have the car close up on the kids and drive away, so you're kind of left unsure. But then they added the mom getting pulled in through the window and the door. And so that's what they ended up with. But Wes really always wanted the happy ending.
I respect that. I really do. I like the way it ended. I liked seeing everybody come back. I will say, having the mom get pulled through the window is like my least favorite part in the whole movie, because there's just no way for that to ever look real. It's clearly a horrible mannequin.
But it happened so fast. It didn't bother me.
No, I hate it. By the way, so the death count in this movie is 4 people, and Marge, the mom, is the 4th victim that Freddy goes after. But who cares? Because Glenn was right before that, as horrible and gory as it was, that Marge and even Rod's death scene to an extent is very lackluster. Tina and Glenn really get the cinematic endings.
I mean, that's certainly fair, but then it kind of begs the question, though, of what really happened in the movie.
Yeah.
Right? Versus what didn't happen in the movie. Because
that was always fun to try and figure out.
Well, so what do you think? What do you think really happened in this movie versus what was a dream?
I don't even know at this point. Because there are a few cuts where it could have been real life. It could have been a dream. There was some very interesting moments that, we haven't even talked about the bath scene and how...
You mean the bathtub with the iconic claw coming out of the water and all that, yeah.
That is just a phenomenal shot.
Sure.
And, having to balance in a bathtub that clearly has no bottom in it, and then having a stunt woman do the underwater scenes, just incredible, trying to piece out what's real, what's not.
Yeah. I think that she's still in the final dream. So, she does the whole Home Alone thing where she sets up all the stuff in the house,
I love that.
For Freddy. It's great. It's great. It's really good. And, they had the scene earlier on the bridge where she's reading about the stuff and everything. And I love it. It's fantastic. But then she goes to sleep thinking she can bring him out. Mm-hmm. I don't think she did. Right? I think she's still, when she, quote, wakes up, I think she's still dreaming. So I think everything else, I think from after she's done setting up all of her traps and she goes to sleep, everything after that I think is still the dream.
So instead of dying, she would have been completely comatose and just perpetually dreaming. Like, she's not a vegetable, but she's stuck.
Well, I mean, here's the problem with dreams, right? Time is kind of different, right? So we don't really know how long that all took. And we don't know what's going on in the waking world, right? She could just be in her bed. Right. And the movie doesn't end with Nancy being dead. The car is driving off, right? So I think they were setting it up to, for us to see more. And, the sequel doesn't really have the same cast. Nancy doesn't come back till the third one, which is a little confusing, even though the second one's called Freddy's Revenge. It's kind of like Jaws the Revenge.
He won.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's a little confusing, so I guess we'll have to see.
Right.
But I think she's just dreaming from that point forward.
Okay.
That's my take.
I'm okay with that. I like it.
All right. So with that, I think those are all of my Fright Facts. I don't see anything left that I really missed. There's a couple production things that are interesting. Like a week before they started filming, the main company that was funding it pulled their money. It was $1 million of the 1.8. And so they actually asked the crew at one point if they could work for like a week without pay while they tried to secure funding, and everyone ended up getting paid. Everything ended up working out. No one was screwed over in the end. But this was, while the budget was substantially larger compared to Halloween and Friday the 13th, they still had their own troubles getting all that secured.
Well, I mean, you think about movies now, like the remakes of these films are 30 times that amount. So the fact that there was like a week where they didn't have funding and people are having to go potentially without pay is kind of a scary place to be in. Yeah,
it was kind of a different time. We talked a bit about some of the casting. And I thought it'd be interesting. So Ralph Macchio was considered for Rod, which I think would have been fun. And in addition to Nicolas Cage for Glenn, some other big names included Brad Pitt, John Cusack, and Charlie Sheen.
Didn't Sheen want way too much money?
He wanted more money than they could afford. I didn't find any actual numbers, so it's hard for me to say that it was like unreasonable. Right? I really don't know.
That's fair.
To be honest. But that's it. Those are my Fright Facts. So there you go.
I have a few more things. So Nick Corey, or Jesus Garcia, who played Rod Lane, had just become homeless, like right before, and he was struggling with drug addiction.
Oh.
So nobody knew on the set until well after. He was constantly snorting heroin, like before scenes. And Langenkamp said that when they were doing the scenes in prison, in the jail cell and everything, and he was like, his eyes were all red and crying and stuff, she thought that he was just pouring his heart into this, and not that he was high and exhibiting issues. And he said that it wasn't the way to go about it, but he is happy that it like influenced his scenes sometimes.
But he ended up okay after.
Yeah. Okay. So he's doing all right. He's running a production company.
Oh, good for him.
He has continued acting. He has been in many different television shows and movies. And fun fact about him, he is an ordained minister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, lovely.
Glad he's doing all right.
Yeah. And then my last bit, so a really fun thing, one of my favorite tropes is a character in a movie, book, whatever, will have their hair turn white from fear or shock.
Sure.
That is I looked it up. I wanted to look up the condition. Like, can this actually happen? There is the hypothesized belief that it is called Marie Antoinette syndrome or Thomas More syndrome.
Okay.
And it can be related to an autoimmune disease or alopecia. But basically, it's if the glands producing cortisol are all of a sudden removed and your pigment cells cannot continue to produce. So it's possible, more used in pop culture than real life.
Sure.
Of course, Thomas More and Marie Antoinette lived hundreds of years ago, and we don't have any proof that this happened, but it is said that Marie Antoinette's hair went stark white overnight because of after her capture when she tried to flee France before the revolution.
Interesting.
And then Thomas More was beheaded, and there's rumors that his hair turned white overnight because of it. But, this is used in Dracula. It's used in a lot of anime. Les Miserables used it. Stephen King used it in Pet Sematary. And one of my favorites is recently Critical Role's Vox Machina member Percival DeRollo. His hair turns white after the Briarwoods take over. So just a really fun trope, possible but not likely. Stress has been proven to gray your hair, but shock white overnight is not usually a thing.
Right, yeah. No, that's cool. That's good.
I thought that was a fun little tidbit to talk about.
Absolutely. What else you got? Anything else?
I got my Would You Rather, and then I think that's it.
Okay, what do you got? What is it?
Okay, so would you rather have to wear Freddy's funky sweater that's been in hell and back, or Michael's sweaty mask for a week every day?
The sweater.
Yeah.
That's easy. I can roll the sleeves up if I want to. I still have my face, and yeah, totally.
Just curious. Some people, they don't have anything with face. I cannot wear a mask for very long. It will give me, claustrophobia. I'm for real. Like a mask like that, I cannot do.
All right,
I gotta do the eye masks.
Here's one for you. It really only works with Freddy. It doesn't work with the other ones.
That's fair.
If you had to take Freddy out on a date,
oh my god,
what restaurant would you take him to?
Well, the Olive Garden, because that's where your family.
Jesus.
Olive Garden is a great first date, whether you're going with, somebody you just met or a hell demon.
Yeah. And if he can't kill you till dinner's over, you got the never-ending breadsticks and just keep eating, man. Right? You can kill yourself with the breadsticks.
How about you? Where would you take him?
The question wasn't for me. The question was for you.
That's not fair.
Well, you didn't do the would you rather.
I did. I said, yeah, definitely the sweater.
I see.
I was agreeing with you.
I see. I think I would take him to like a steakhouse of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice high-end steakhouse.
Ooh.
Not a chain. Something good, something local. So here out in Kansas City, maybe like a J. Gilbert's.
Oh, okay, okay. Place you've definitely taken me before.
And I think he could use his glove really well at a steakhouse.
Oh, yeah,
it's at least it's useful there.
So you absolutely hate metal on metal sounding. Did that ever bother you in the film, or because there's a disconnect with movies?
It's the way they did the effect. It's not really a metal on metal sound.
Right.
They've got the sparks flying and they have noise and stuff. So it's a little bit different. There are certainly movies where it does annoy me. Like there's a sound in Jurassic Park when the kids are stuck in the kitchen with the velociraptors, right? And there's that ladle that falls. As the ladle turns, it makes that sound that I hate.
Oh my god,
and
I don't think I've ever noticed that.
Yeah, it drives me nuts, right? In an otherwise perfect film, that one moment drives me insane. So I need it to be a more kind of specific sound.
Okay, that's totally fair. My brain came to the conclusion that it wasn't the exact same as like a fork on a plate or
no, it makes my teeth feel weird.
Nails on a chalkboard kind of deal, but
nails on a chalkboard doesn't bother me.
It did register as an unsettling ting of a sound. It just wasn't one that, like, bothered me, got me, or something.
Gotcha.
I really hate the sound of, like, styrofoam squishing together. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good. She got all antsy.
I hate it.
Well, that's fine. We could talk about something. We can end the episode because I think we're done talking about the movie.
We absolutely are. I do like that almost every episode we reveal one of our little, like, tics or
weird
things
quirks
we're scared of and stuff.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
All right, so in episode 4, we go back to Halloween for Halloween 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Now, because these three are constantly competing against one another, they're always paired together, they're always placed
grouped together.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Like I said, we're doing Halloween, Friday the 13th franchises, and Nightmare on Elm Street, all kind of in the same routine, 1-1-1, 2-2-2, and then we'll do the same afterwards with Scream and Child's Play, because they're more recent ones.
And maybe a third one to go with them. We're throwing around a few. We haven't landed yet.
Well, there's 2 more that are considered big horror franchises. And one you specifically didn't want to watch, and that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, I'm not interested. I've seen a couple of them. It's not my thing.
And the other one is the only one that's not a slasher, and that's Saw.
Well, there is Hellraiser.
There is Hellraiser.
Which I did have on our little short list of things that we could cover after these. So, yeah, look, we got some time. I think this is 33 episodes worth of content when it's all said and done. This is episode 3. So thank you all for joining us for that. But we got some time to figure it out.
Absolutely. We will check you later. This has been Lovin' Slashers.
We are hosted by Rae and Derek Mayer.
And produced by Derrico Studios.
The show music is by Levi Kutsky.
The show logo is by Derek Mayer.
Find all of our links at loveandslashers.com.
Thanks for listening, and keep trying to be that final girl.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
3, 4, better lock your door. 5, 6, grab a crucifix. 7, 8, gonna stay up late. 9, 10, never sleep again.
And that's just me.
Just the end, yeah.